I am the Statue of Liberty. I am an international symbol of liberty, justice, and democracy. During the American Revolution, the French and Americans worked together to defeat the British. As a result of the friendship between the United States and France during that time, the French people wanted to give a gift to the United States. That gift was me. In France, 1871, I was created by the French sculptor Frederic Auguste Bartholdi and the French architect and structural engineer Alexandre Auguste of Eiffel. Mr. Bartholdi created me out of very heavy-hammered pieces of copper, and Mr. Eiffel designed the frame. France then shipped the pieces of me to America on Liberty Island in New York, where I was then put together in 1886. I am known as the Statue of Liberty, also known as Liberty Enlightening the World, or Lady Liberty, has stood tall on Liberty Island for over 130 years. I am a robed female figure which represents Libertas, the Roman goddess of freedom. I am 151 feet tall with my base. However, I sit on top of a pedestal, which makes my total structure body about 305 feet tall. In my right arm I hold a torch, and in my left arm I hold a tablet. Inscribed on the tablet is the date of the American Declaration of Independence, which is July 4th, 1776. I was made with very heavy copper, which weighs about 250 tons. By the early 20th century, the rain had given my copper a blue-green color. If I get struck by lightning, the electricity goes through my metal and into the ground. I have been hit many times by lightning. Visitors could go up to my torch and look out to see New York City. However, damage to the stairs in 1916 caused the stairway to the torch to be permanently shut down. There are 354 steps from the pedestal to the crown of me. Visitors have gone up to my crown and jumped off. 5,000 people died during the construction when they were building me. I am a statue that represents liberty. Visitors could go up to my crown and look out the windows to see the amazing city below. Thank you.
I am Leif the Lucky. I was born in c. 970. I was regarded as the first European to visit the New World. I made it to the New World 500 years before Christopher Columbus was born. I grew up in a family estate with 2 brothers and 1 sister. My brothers were named Thorstein and Thorvald. My sister was named Freydis. I heard of land and I set out in a voyage of discovery with a crew of 35 men. My father wanted to come, but he slept off his horse that got badly injured. I went to an island that might be Baffin Island. Then my voyage continued and I went to many lands. President Calvin Coolidge made a speech to thousands of Americans that I was the first European to visit the New World. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jane Goodall. I was born on April 3rd, 1934 in England. When I was a kid, my father gave me a stuffed toy chimpanzee. It was named Jubilee and started my love for primates. I was sent to Tanzania to study chimps in their natural habitat. I learned more about chimps than anyone else. I learned that the chimps did not only use tools but make tools too. I also learned that the chimps sometimes hunt down large mammals and probably eat them. Chimps were endangered, and I was going to tell the whole world. I am in lots of books and magazines. My chimp dream came true. I am now 82 years old and continue to study chimps in their natural habitat. To study chimps, I'm the founder of the Jane Goodall Institute and the Roots and Shoots program. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexander Graham Bell. I was born on March 3rd, 1847. I was the second son of Alexander Bell and Elizabeth Bell. When I was 10 years old, Graham was added to my name. And when I was 12 years old, I solved the problem that no one else could ever solve. It was how to get rid of the husk on the wheat. So I ran home, I built my first invention, I ran back to the hill and tested it and it worked. After that, my 2 brothers died of tuberculosis. Then I moved to Arizona. There I built my own shop and made my own inventions. One of them was a telephone. It was too hard for me to build by myself, so I hired some people. One of them was Thomas Watson. He was a professional electrician. When the telephone was complete, almost everyone in the United States had bought it. Then I was invited to New York to call my friend Thomas Watson in San Francisco, and it was successful. After that, I died peacefully, and my whole entire phone system shut off for 1 whole minute. Thank you.
Hello, I am King Tut, the most famous pharaoh. Much that is said about me is mostly guesses. This is because there is no history written about me after my death. Before they found my tomb, nobody knew that I existed. This is probably why I became so famous. My tomb was the first tomb to be found intact. My full name is Tutankhamen. My father was Akhenaten, also known as Amenhotep. Through DNA tests, it is hard to tell who my mother is because pharaohs marry their relatives. When my father died, I became pharaoh at the age of 9, giving me the nickname the Boy King. I was only pharaoh for 10 years before my death, but I managed to restore the traditional religion of Egypt, undoing what my father had done. Egyptians believed that gold was the flesh of the sun god Ra, and that silver was the bones of the gods. I'm wearing a shanty, a kilt that was the main piece of clothing for men. This gold face mask was put over top of my mummy. And my tomb was originally found in 1922. In 2005, a team was allowed to borrow my mummy for only 3 hours in order to do a CAD scan. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alexander the Great. I was born July 20th, 356 BC. I lived in Macedonia, north of Greece. My father was King Philip II. My mother was Queen Olympias. When I was a child, my father wanted the very best for me, so he hired the great philosopher Aristotle. Aristotle instructed me on my school studies. I was also taught how to ride and tame a wild horse, to hunt and to fight. When I was 13 years old, my father took me to the fair. We looked not by on a horse, but the horse was wild, would run from his own shadow. I tamed that horse and named him Bucephalus. So I made horse until he died at a very old age. I named a city in India after that horse. I really enjoy reading and would often read the works of Homer. I joined the army when I was 16. I became king at the age 20 and continued to expand the great empire my father built. I never lost a battle. I am famous for being the best warrior and leading the strongest army. My army respected me for leading them into fights instead of standing on the sideline while they fought. When I returned home back to Babylon, I became very sick and died at the young age 32 on June 13, 323 BC. Many people are not sure why I died, but many people think I was poisoned and died of the virus malaria. The great empire my father built was taken over by my great generals. This is me as a child. This is me getting ready to study with Aristotle. This is me training for battle. This is me fighting as a king. This is me battling with my other warriors. This is how my empire looked when I died. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cesar Chavez. I was born on March 31st in 1927 in Yuma, Arizona. I was best known for finding a nation for the National Farm Workers Association. One of my favorite phrases was "Si se puede." That means we can do it.
I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. Every time I went to school, if I speak Spanish in class, then I'll get a sign that says, on account, I speak Spanish. I was a nice and generous man to other people. Every time I went to farms and the farmers see me, then they'll drop everything and join me in my walks. Over 50,000 people came to my funeral. I died from natural causes in my sleep. Thank you for listening.
Howdy, I'm Theodore Roosevelt, aka Teddy Roosevelt. I was the 26th President of the United States. My wife was Edith Carroll. I attended the Harvard University, then studied at Columbia Law School. During the Spanish-American War, I organized an army called the Rough Riders. I won an important battle and became a war hero. In 1900, I became Vice President to President McKinley. In 1901, President McKinley got assassinated, and I became the president. While I was president, I had very big accomplishments. Here are some of them. I helped preserve national forests in the western United States. I established the Food and Drug Act to keep food safe and sanitary. I established the U.S. as an international police power. I led the peace talks with Russia and Japan to keep the peace going and won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1906. I died of health failure on June 9th. Here are some of the quotes I'm known for. Speak softly and carry a big stick and you will go far. Do what you can with what you have where you are. If you're asked if you could do a job, tell them certainly I can. Then get busy and find out how to do it.
Hello, I am Paul Revere. I am known as the Midnight Rider of the American Revolution. I was born in 1735 on New Year's Day in Boston, Massachusetts. After my father died, I became a master silversmith. I was married twice, first to Sarah Orr, then to Rachel Walker. I had a total of 16 children. I also became an engraver, and one of my most famous works was the Boston Massacre engraving. In 1773, when the British were putting taxes on everything, including tea, I became one of the leaders of the Boston Tea Party. We all disguised as Mohawk Indians and threw out hundreds of chests of tea to show protests on taxes. Nobody was caught. Then I became Boston's #1 express rider. In April 18, 1775, I instructed 2 men to climb up the Old North Church and light 2 lanterns to warn the Minutemen that the redcoats were coming by soon. That was the start of the American Revolution. After the war, I continued to be a silversmith and started selling church bells. I also opened a copper rolling mill. I died in 1810 at the age of 83 as a very rich man. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tisquantum. I was the founder of the Thanksgiving feast. I was born November 15, 1585. One day a ship came and took me and 3 other men. When I got there in England, they sold me as a slave. They also taught me English by my British master, Lord Georges. Then I escaped and they captured me again. When I escaped back to North America, also known as the New World,
My tribe was no longer there because of smallpox. Then the pilgrims came in the cold, harsh winter. Only 55 of them survived. I taught the pilgrims about planting roots, and I taught them how to grow crops. Then we had the Thanksgiving feast in October. I died of an Indian fever November 30th, 1622. Then President Lincoln officially declared that Thanksgiving was an official holiday. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Roger Williams. I was born in London circa 1603. I went to school at Pembroke College at Cambridge University, where I studied Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. I graduated top of my class in 1627. Soon after finishing school, I married my wife, Mary Barnard, and we migrated from England to Boston. We moved to Boston in hope to find freedom to practice our faith. I started preaching and teaching in Salmon, Plymouth. During my journey as a minister, I was asked to depart the United States. That's when I decided to flee Southwest. As I walked, I came across the Narragansett tribe who took me in and provided food and shelter to me during the long winter. The Narragansett tribe taught me the native language, which then I used to preach and teach my religion. I decided to settle at the headwaters, which is now called Narragansett Bay, by purchasing land from the Narragansett chief. I invited my family to start a life there. My son then called the land Providence. I went back to England to get agreement for the neighboring colonies to take over Providence. I used my knowledge and experience to trade and bring in many things to the Narragansett tribe that they can use and learn from. I started a trading post at the North Kingstown where I traded with the Indians and became as the peacemaker between the neighboring colonies and the Indians. Then I became the governor of the colony from 1654 to 1658 to see the rebuild of Providence after King Philip's War. My wife and I had 6 children, 4 sons and 2 daughters. I had a great journey during my time here on Mother Earth. And then I have made a difference for my family, friends, and neighbors. Thank you.
Hello, I am Flavius Valerius Constantine. I was the last significant Roman emperor, and I was the 4th Roman emperor. No one knew I would become a Roman emperor from my childhood because my father, Constantius Tutankhamen, was not married to my mother, Helena, a barmaid. I had a sister named Constantia, and I grew up in the eastern part of Rome honoring Roman gods. Before I became a Roman emperor, I was successful in the army. One day, getting ready for battle as an emperor, I had a vision. I saw a burning cross in the sky that said, "In hoc signo vinces." That is Latin for, "In this sign you will conquer." I took it as a sign from Jesus, so I told my army to paint crosses on their shields. And when they did, Rome won the battle and conquered the land. I took it as a sign from the Christian God that my army should wear this symbol. During my reign, I moved to Byzantium, an ancient Greek town. It became known as Constantinople. Constantinople means Constantine's city. Constantinople was my biggest building project, and it was located in it was the center of the eastern part of Rome. That city is now called Istanbul and is located in Turkey. I died on May 22nd, 337 AD. I made a change in world history by increasing Christianity around the world. Thank you. Hello, I am Queen Nefertiti. I am the wife of King Akhenaten. My name means the beautiful one has come. When I was 15 years old, I married King Akhenaten. Together we share the same belief, the sun god, Aten. We had 6 daughters and 1 son. After 14 years of marriage, I simply disappeared. On December 1913, a German archaeologist discovered my bust sculpture, which made me very famous. Later, a British archaeologist said that my tomb was behind King Tut's tomb. Thank you.
My name is Leif Pasteur, and I was born on December 27, 1822 in Dover, France. When I was growing up, I was an average student who was more interested in drawing, painting, and fishing than school. I eventually became a college teacher of chemistry and physics. I met my wife, Maria Laurent, while teaching chemistry at the University of Strasbourg. We were married in 1849 and had 5 children, but 3 of them died of typhoid. I am known for 3 main things: 1, pasteurization, 2, germ theory, and 3, vaccinations. Pasteurization is when you heat something up to boiling to kill all the germs, then cool it off to make sure no more germs get in. I use my germ theory to create vaccinations for diseases such as anthrax, cholera, TB, and smallpox. I opened the Pasteur Institute in 1888 so people can research and study the same stuff I did. The one school turned into 32 schools in 3 years. I had several strokes, which is a bleeding in the brain that caused some of my body parts to not work. I died on September 28, 1895 when I was 72. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I am Cleopatra. I was born in 60 BC as the Princess of Egypt. When I was growing up, I spoke many different languages such as Latin, Greek, and Egyptian. My family had ruled over Egypt for 300 years. When I was 18, my father died and left the throne to my 10-year-old brother and I. Since my 10-year-old brother and I were married, we had to rule the kingdom together. But I was older, so I quickly took over Egypt. As my brother grew older, he wanted more power over the kingdom. He took back the throne and forced me out of the palace. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar came. I snuck back into the castle and hid in a rolled-up rug. I convinced Julius Caesar to help me win back the throne. He fought my brother and drowned him in the Nile River, and then I took back power over Egypt. In 40 BC, Julius Caesar died, and I met Mark Antony. The heir to the throne was Octavian, so he soon took power of Egypt. He declared a war with my people. I knew that my army was being defeated, so I hid in the mausoleum I made for when I died. Because of this, Mark Antony thought that I was dead and he poisoned himself. I heard about this and let a venomous cobra bite me on the neck. That was how I died. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Joan of Arc. I was born January 6, 1412 in Alpha-Kidz, France. My father was Jacques d'Arc and my mother was Isabelle Romy. My real French name is Jean d'Arc, but I was eventually nicknamed the Maid of Orleans. Much of my early life is not well known. It is said that I never went to school. Also, it's believed that when I was little, I believed in fairies. It was not until I was about 13 years old that my life changed drastically. This is when I saw my first vision in the garden of my home. This was just the beginning of my divine visions. I would always go to church on Sundays and help the sick. I thought God was trying to say to me to rescue France from England, but I didn't know if it was true. Then one day a spirit from a saint came down and told me to rescue France. At this time there was a war between France and England that was called the 100-Year War. There was also a disease that spread all over the place. It was called the Black Death. After the visit from the spirit, I went to the uncrowned king of France and asked him if I could lead the war. The king said yes, and I went to war. On my first fight in war, France was victorious. The king of France then was crowned. After that first battle that I led, France kept winning the battles. This made England upset, and England thought I was a witch. They believed I was into witchcraft, which is a crime, and they didn't like that I wore men's clothing. So they captured me and punished me. The king and his people didn't care to rescue me, so they just left me to die. I died at the young age of 19 on March 30th, 1431 from being tied to a pole and burned to death. It was after my death, for the crimes for which I was killed for were exonerated. However, many people believed I was innocent all along. I was canonized as a Roman Catholic saint in 1920, almost 500 years after my death. I am now known as Saint Joan of Arc. Thank you.
I'm a composer purely Tchaikovsky. It is the 19th century
The director of the Russian theater asked me to write a music to a ballet that is based on a story called The Nutcracker and the Mouse King by the German Rudolf Hoffmann. I like the old Christmas story, but I wrote the ballet based on the rivers of Alexander Dumas, a very well-known French author. When I wrote a music to a ballet, I like to sing about people and their feelings. My main idea is that only people who share can find love and happiness in this life. Nutcracker Ballet was first performed on December 1892. It was in Russia in the city of St. Petersburg. People watching the Nutcracker that night did not really like it, though some of them praised for its music. When I started to work on this ballet, I did not know how popular it would become. And millions of boys and girls will watch it this time. Thank you.
My name is Abraham Lincoln. I was born on February 12, 1809 in a one-room log cabin in Kentucky. My parents were Thomas and Nancy Lincoln. In 1861, I ran for president for the new Republican Party. The Republicans were against the southern states leaving the Union and also against slavery. When I became president, the southern states started to leave the Union and form a union called the Confederacy. I was in charge of one of the bloodiest wars, the Civil War, which began April 12, 1861. It lasted about 4 years, and it cost the lives of 600,000 Americans. I issued the Emancipation Proclamation on April 12, 1809. January 1st, 1863, that freed the slaves in the Confederate States. I am famous for my Gettysburg Address speech gave in November 1st, 1863. While I was watching a play in Ford Theater, I was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth on April 15, 1865. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Antonio Vivaldi. I was one of the greatest violinists to ever play and compose music. I learned how to play the violin when I was a boy. I have 8 siblings, 4 brothers and 4 sisters. My nickname is the Red Priest. I'm called the Red Priest because I have red hair and is part of the Holy Orders. I compose music in Baroque style. I compose the 4 seasons. It is a set of my most famous songs. The 4-season music is about spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and how it makes us feel differently in each season. I composed over 450 musical pieces. Even though I played music to many people, I still wasn't famous during my time. I didn't get famous until I died, when Bob performed my style of music. I died on July 28, 1741, in Austria, but my music and form and style is what people remember today. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Pele, the goddess of fire, lightning, wind, volcanoes, and the creator of Hawaiian Islands. I live in the Halamayu crater. As a sign of respect, people call me Madam Pele or Tutu Pele. My poetic name is Kawan Ayahuana. I come from the land of Pola Pola and from the rising mist of Cain and from the clouds that move the sky. And I am a daughter out of 6 and I have 7 brothers. My mom is Kayumea, a very ancient earth goddess. My dad is Kamilohaya, the god of earth and upper heavens. As I grew up, I wanted to learn the secret to fire. I learned how to make volcanoes, and when I was bored, I raised fireballs or hurled fireballs high into the night sky. When I grew up, it was time for me to leave home. So me and my brothers and sisters sailed underneath the North Star until we stopped and I said, "This is where I'll be making my new home." When I got to Hawaii, I used my ka'oa stick or u'u stick on ka'au, striking deep into the earth. My big sister stopped me and left me for dead. I recovered and went to Oahu, where I made several fire pits, including a crater we now call Diamond Head. My big sister figured out that I was still alive, so she went to Maui to do battle. After that very bloody battle, I was torn apart by my big sister. Legend says that my bones still remain in a hill called Ka'iwi o Pele. I am very happy where I am right now, Kapika o Kahanu, where the gods begin creation. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Prince Siddartha Gautama. I was born in India. My mother died when I was 7 days old. My father wanted me to follow in his footsteps and become a king. I got married at the age of 16. One day I asked my father if I could go on a carriage ride. He said yes. On the carriage ride I found the four noble truths: suffering, the cause of suffering, the end of suffering, and the path that leads to the end of suffering. One night I escaped the palace so I could find the end of suffering. I gave my robe away to the poor. I cut off my hair to give to the people who had cancer. One day I found this book. I was looking for a group of holy men to practice their beliefs. One day this young kind woman offered me some food. I thanked her for her kindness and took the offering. One day I found this bohidi tree. I meditated under that bohidi tree for 7 weeks. Buddhism is based on my life. Thank you.
Hello, I am Demeter, the Greek goddess of crops and grains. My parents are Cronus and Rhea. I have 3 siblings, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. I have 3 kids. My daughter Persephone is the goddess of springtime and vegetation. One day Hades, god of the underworld, captured Persephone to be his wife. Persephone was locked in a room and offered many delicious foods. She knows if she eats anything in the underworld, she has to stay there forever. It had been over a week. I had searched the world for Persephone. She had ate 6 pomegranate seeds. Zeus sent Hermes to make a deal with Hades. She had ate 6 pomegranate seeds, so she has to spend 6 months each year in the underworld. For those 6 months each year, I do not care for the crops, and they do not grow. But when Persephone returns to me, I am very happy, and all the plants grow big and healthy. This is how Greeks explain seasons. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Confucius. I was born in the state Lu in 551 BC. My real name is Kangzi. I was born into a poor family in the province of Shandong. My father was a soldier named Kang He who had died when I was 3 years old. The rest of my childhood was spent in poverty as I was raised by my mother. My mother's name was Yan Sengzi, and I had a brother named Meng Pi. As I grew up, I became a philosopher. During my own lifetimes, my teachings were not widely accepted. I laid out things that were called ethics. Ethics were how people treat one another. The most important to me were the ethics of children, how they respect their parents and elders. Other ethics were how friends treat one another. Most important things to me were peace and orders. I came up with the golden rule. I tried to become a number of government positions, but when this failed, I became a teacher. I died at the age 72 in Chufu, China, in 479 BC. Today, I am the most influential teachers in Chinese history today. Thank you.